In the past year, Lamzu became a pretty well-known brand for the first launch of the Atlantis Mini, basically coming out of nowhere. With their first release being a total success and making a huge impact in the mouse community, Lamzu became to grow pretty fast because honestly their products were pretty well made. But today, we're not here to talk about the Lamzu Atlantis, we're here to talk about the Lamzu Maya, which was their last release towards the end of 2023, with once again making a huge impact in the mouse community by making another great release. And it honestly excites me to talk about this mouse because the name Maya actually comes from the native Mexican Indians. When I found out that the mouse and their name was inspired by the Mexican Mayans, I was pretty surprised and pleased, so I had to give it a try. And with the Lamzu Maya being the first full red mouse, I also obviously had to give it a try. At first, I didn't find the Maya to be such a pleasing mouse for me, since it had this kind of a weird feeling but also familiar feeling in hand. And I noticed why this was, and it's because it gave me some of a similar vibe to the Final Mouse medium shape, with both of them having honestly such similar dimensions. I couldn't stop thinking that the Lamzu Maya felt like the Final Mouse medium shape in hand. But later on, I found out that it actually wasn't as similar because it has a very slight flare on the back, and having that hump a little bit more focused to the front, it feels kind of weird in hand and not as great for claw grip and maybe more for pincer claw, or at least is what I felt. Because for example, in the Pulsar X2 V2, you guys can see that the hump is a lot more focused on the back. But at first, I had kind of a struggle to find a good grip for me to play with this mouse because my regular aggressive claw grip felt kind of weird because the hump was again a little bit more towards the front and I couldn't rest the bottom part of my hand as comfortable as I wanted it to be, so I often felt more the need of going for a pincer claw. And the last month, I've honestly been enjoying it a lot more with a fingertip grip, since the very slight amount of flare helps and gives some nice support to the thumb and pinky, and I just found myself to be a lot more comfortable with it. Besides my general thoughts, let's get started with the pros of this mouse. And as you guys know, I like to start with the shape, and the Lamzu Maya is a pretty safe shape since you can use it with the most common grip styles there is, which is fingertip grip, palm, and claw grip, with a very nice coating that just gets better with a warmed up or sweaty hand, being 4K compatible with a Nordic MCU, and with its 45 grams, being a medium-sized mouse that can very well fit most of the users out there. Also presented in 3 colorways, which is black, gray, and this one that I have, which is the red. I sadly haven't tried the 4K polling rate, but the 1K has been very amazing, and the battery life as well, lasting me around a week or even more. And for the price of $94, it's somewhat competitive for the price, but even though the dongle is sold separately for $14, this all comes around at $110. Also, once again, to mention the stock skates, which are very nice, that they just look red, but they're not like the Obsidians where they're hardened PTFE. This is just regular PTFE, more towards the speed side, which I could compare it to maybe the X-Ray Pad Jades, and I never have an issue with them. They also include you another pair of skates, and with the Juana Blue Shell Pink Dots being as popular as they are, I probably don't have to mention them, and in the Lamzu Maya, they are still a great implementation, with a very nice and crisp feeling, light of actuation, and very spammable. And to get started with the specifications, once again, we're gonna go straight to the shape, which is 119 millimeters long, 62 millimeters wide, and 38 millimeters tall, with a weight of 45 grams and the Pixart 3395 with our Nordic MCU and a silver TTC encoder for the scroll wheel, being 4K compatible, with Juana Blue Shell Pink Dot with the main switches, and a better life optimization with a 1K polling rate lasting over a week, and in the bottom plate having a DPI and an on and off button, with stock red PTFE skates. And that's mostly gonna be it for the specifications. And to get started with the cons, I just want to talk and compare it to the Atlantis Mini, since I think there has been some downgrades from the Atlantis to the Maya, because in the Atlantis it has more of a chalky and matte coating that just, in my opinion, feels better than in the red Lamzu Maya. It's still good, it's not bad, but I just think it's better in the Lamzu Atlantis. And also, I find the side buttons on the Atlantis to be a lot better than in the Maya, because in the Maya they are again a bit heavier and they just feel kind of bad. And in my scroll wheel, I have a kind of a weird squishy feel of the rubber just bending in as I press it that is kind of annoying but doesn't affect performance at all. That again, I'm not sure if this is a design flaw in my unit, but it's something I just wanted to point out. Since in the Atlantis, it doesn't have this squishy feeling at all, but it is a bit more heavy evacuation. But honestly, all those things that I just pointed out are not real deal breakers, since these are still pretty good and well done mice, and finding bad things about them is just honestly pretty hard. And so to talk about the shape again, but with the box saying that is good for claw grip, I just don't find it to be as good for an aggressive claw grip, maybe for a more relaxed one. But again, if you have a more of an aggressive claw grip, I would rather go for the X2V2 or even the X2H, since I think these two are a much better shape for this kind of an aggressive claw grip style. But if you happen to have more of a pincer claw, a relaxed claw, a fingertip grip, this is honestly just gonna be a very good mouse for you. And I honestly don't have many more cons to talk about this mouse, since I still think it is very, very good. And if I was Boardsy, I would say that this has the seal of approval. But I'm not Boardsy, so I don't have a seal of approval. I just think the mouse is good. So now lastly, we're gonna go with my conclusion about the mouse. And to start with the conclusion, I want to talk about the price being $94 with the 4K compatible dongle being sold separately for another $14. I just think, and I don't find it to be necessary, since the price difference isn't as big. If it was $20, maybe, but honestly, I feel like they could really just sell this mouse for $100 and include you the 4K compatible dongle. But I guess Lamzu just do whatever they want. However, I don't think this is a bad mouse at all, and I think it's a pretty safe shape for medium-sized hands. And for small hands, maybe you could have some trouble, but honestly, fingertip gripping it feels very nice, that I think even with small hands you won't have much trouble with this, and I could recommend it very easily. But this is not a bad mouse at all, and that I think most people could enjoy it without any issues. And that is gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoy it, and before leaving you guys, I just want to remind you guys that you can subscribe to my English and Spanish YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter as well. That's gonna be it for me. See you next time. Ciao, ciao.